This is about putting a starter in a 99 Chrysler Sebring Convertible, which is the same for the 96 to 2000 Sebring Convertible with a 2.5 Mitsubishi engine. One thing I want to point out with this is Duralast starter. It's from AutoZone. It's 17252 is a part number, and it's guaranteed for life from AutoZone. Now, one thing I want to point out about these starters is I've noticed that there's a lot of price differential between different brands. Now, personally, I prefer Bosch the best, but I didn't feel like ordering one online. It was about 160 plus 35 shipping. This was 120, but you have to pay $70 for the core charge, so you pay 190 originally, then it's actually 120 net. But this is actually a good starter. But the some of the ones you'll notice are listed as 1.2 kilowatts versus 1.4 kilowatts. You want the one that's 1.4 kilowatts. And also, I've seen brand new ones going for about 75 bucks, and I don't know why they're that cheap. I figure they are cheap, because even though I've had problems with various cars buying parts that they say they meet or exceed OEM, and they don't. I don't know how you can make something for half the price and still make a profit, you know, and I don't think they're making double profit on a starter. So I just want to caution about quality parts. Duralast parts from AutoZone are pretty good. You have a warranty for life. The Bosch is my favorite for like components for this car. Nippon Denso, and also Auto Remy, another good one. But you'll notice there'll be about $150 to $170 for a remanufactured starter, whereas sometimes you could buy some other brands for about $75 brand new, and they say they're OEM and they're 100% good. I doubt it. Somehow the price doesn't jive. When you're taking off the starter, make sure I take off both battery cables. But this is the reason I do that, because you see on the negative here, you actually have two wires. There's a nut, and then this comes off, and then there's another nut, and there's another wire underneath it. Same thing with here. You have actually three wires on the positive, one going down to the battery, one going down to the starter. And you want to clean all that stuff off thoroughly, because one thing with electronic components, in the older cars from about 50 years ago, before they had electronic components, it didn't matter so much if something wasn't having a perfect ground. But today, if something doesn't have a perfect ground, it's not getting exact specification, voltage or whatever, it can create havoc, and you're trying to troubleshoot something, and it may be something as stupid as the ground. So I would clean off all three of these positive cables and these two negative cables very carefully when you put the starter in. Now on the convertible, it's simple. You got three bolts, and over here you have one bolt on the solenoid, but you're not going to take off this one. You're going to just take off the nut on this one. This actually just stays on there, and then you have the push-on wire right here. That's it. So I'll be doing this after I jack the car. I'll probably do it a little later on, but I want to point out a couple things. Don't put cheap parts in a car. I swear to God, I don't know how they can offer a $75 brand new starter when all the quality rebuilt ones are at least $120 to about $170. That's with the core exchange. I don't know how they can offer brand new ones, and I'm figuring they're garbage, because actually this solenoid is about $70-something new by itself. How do you figure that? And I know they advertise OEM or exceeds OEM. I don't know. Now, the problem I had with this starter, actually it's not really a problem per se that bad yet. I've noticed that during hot weather, and the car sits maybe for about 15 minutes and under hood temperatures get the highest, it's not the battery, because the battery is new and it's a very high quality battery. The car will crank extremely slow, which means these components are starting to wear out because they're becoming more easily affected by heat. So I'm going to change this out before it becomes a problem. This is taking out the starter now. There's one thing you're going to have to do to remove the starter. You don't need to drop the exhaust pipe or drop any kind of, the motor mounted frame or anything like that. You need to do is jack up the engine. And you can see I have this engine jacked up a little bit, a couple blocks over here. That's so you can get the starter out. Now another thing is you have to take the oil filter out. You can see it's out. Now this connector, I had a problem taking this thing out, and actually it's snapped over here because it's kind of brittle. And what it is a little lock that's in there. So what I'm going to do is glue this back on, and then it'll press back in place. But I notice this is very brittle, because like actually when I squeeze this with my finger, it's just snapped very simply, because the car is pretty old. So instead of changing this, I'm going to go ahead and just glue that back on. It should be alright. I'm going to clean this out very good with some cleaner inside this connector. This just pushes on, and there's just, you know, the 3 bolts right over here. Can't see them that well. Maybe on this side 1, 2, and there's one up there beyond that little rib. But to get this out of here, it's tight quarters. The way to get it out is you have to jack the engine up, or else you're not going to be able to get it out. I wonder how many people took down the exhaust pipe. That would be stupid, but it's one reason I'm posting this. And of course you have the other you know, the main connector right over there. You can see it between the, right next to the exhaust pipe. I'm going to clean that off very thoroughly. And I stated before, make sure you clean off the grounds and stuff by the where they are up at the top post, to make sure everything's disconnected. The positive's disconnected, because the positive would be, if it's connected to the battery, if you touch something over here, you're going to ground it out. Don't just disconnect the negative on the battery, disconnect the positive too. Yeah, there's a major difference in how fast this cranks over. Very different. So I could tell that starter was going. So it's good to go now. And that's it. And that last connector, I wound up gluing it in there to make sure it doesn't come out with super weather strip adhesive. Actually, I've done that before with different things. It sounds Mickey Mouse, but actually it will hold together, and it's not impossible to break apart again if you need to later on. But since the starter lasts 10 years, it's probably not going to be for quite some time.